want to thank everyone for coming out on this Wednesday morning at our Putnam County Fire Training Center. Today we have a very special announcement. It's something that we talked about during the transition. I spoke with members of Emergency Services. We spoke with our then interim Commissioner Bob Lipton and now Commissioner Bob Lipton about the importance of our Fire Training Center. It is a shining example of shared services in county government, where we are partnering with our local fire department agencies and emergency services. We're providing a venue for training that they could not otherwise provide for themselves. Today we're announcing this administration's intention to present to the legislature our plans to build a brand new state-of-the-art fire training center in Putnam County. This is subject to legislative approval. It's not in the traditional budget. Typically this would be something I would announce in the state of the county or maybe in the budget, but we found and identified the financial resources to move forward this year, and there's no need to wait. It's a very important project. It's going to cost up to $1.3 million. We have a lot of stakeholders here that were part of this, that we're going to acknowledge, those that help identify financing for this project, but also stakeholders in the emergency services community. This current center has been significantly underutilized in recent years, largely due to the tower right behind us being deemed unsafe close to over a decade ago, and the burn building, which has been intermittently in and out of service due to needs for repeated repairs, which have also become costly. Thankfully, our county and our many local first responder agencies have shared services agreement with our neighboring counties. And this is why many of our fire departments ultimately end up going to places like Valhalla for Firefighter 1. Side note, when I did Firefighter 1 with the Kent Volunteer Fire Department over 10 years ago, close to 15 years ago, I had to go down to Valhalla. It's a great facility. Westchester County has a state-of-the-art facility as well. But with all the challenges with recruitment and retention in the volunteer fire service, we also understand it's an additional cumbersome obstacle that volunteers have to overcome when they have to travel all the way down to Valhalla for additional training. The County Fire Training Center may not be considered quote-unquote essential or a mandated service by the federal government or state government, but in Putnam County we've chosen to treat it as such by making it a priority of county government and recognizing it as one of those core functions. In Putnam County we proudly recognize the importance of public health and safety. This is another investment in our first responder community and the safety of our residents. Some of the funding of the project that will be used to support this important project, it's primarily coming through American Rescue Plan Act dollars, federal dollars, that were previously dedicated to a county government IT project, where fortunately, thanks to our IT director, Tom Lannon, we were able to identify other financing. We also have a number of other potential sources to bolster our efforts to reduce costs, including $200,000 from a CREST grant obtained from our state senator, Peter Harcum, who is here as well. We intend on submitting our plans to the legislature later today. I hope to see it on our Protective Services Committee agenda on August 17th, where Commissioner Lipton will be prepared to give a detailed presentation, and for a full vote on September 5th. Additional details, again, will be presented by our team at the Bureau, and we are hoping that before the end of this year, we can start demolition, and this time next year, we can have a brand new state-of-the-art facility for our members of emergency services to take advantage of. I do want to recognize members of the legislature that are here. The Deputy Chair of the legislature, Amy Sage. We have the Chair of the Protective Services Committee, Legislator Ginny Nasserino. She's also, I think, the legislature's liaison for the Fire Advisory Board, so has a very strong relationship with our member of emergency services. Legislator Bill Goldman, who's also the chair of the Fiscal Services Committee, Legislator Aaron Crowley, Legislator Greg Elmer, and I believe we also have Legislator Nancy Montgomery here as well. With that, I'm going to hand this over to our Commissioner of the Bureau of Emergency Services, who's been working tirelessly on this, engaging with members of emergency services on this very important project, Commissioner Bob Lipton.
Thank you, County Executive. First off, I'd just like to thank County Executive Byrne. He's been a driving force on seeing this project through and pushing us to do bigger and better here. He's been tremendous help on getting us the resources and the funding that we need for this. So thank you, County Executive Burns, for all your help. I'd also like to thank the legislature that's here and also Senator Harcum for the funding that he's providing to get this project done. Just a real brief history on what had happened and what brought us here to this point now is that our tower, as County Executive Byrne pointed out, has been in disarray for years now. We haven't been able to fully use it for much of anything, and it's basically an eyesore here at the Fire Training Center. The Byrne building has also caused us some problems over the past years. It went down in repair a few years ago. We repaired it, and the repairs didn't last that long, so now it's up to be repaired again. So we thought it was best to start looking at some other avenues, maybe going after a new building, maybe replacing the building. So I got hold of the Fire Advisory Board, which is here today also, and I'd like to thank the members of the Fire Advisory Board and the fire community for assisting in this. The Fire Advisory Board was essential in establishing a subcommittee to start reviewing the building, start reviewing all of the things that we needed to do here, and it was with their recommendation that we decided to go and take the tower down and build a new tower and make it better than it was before. And once again, thank you to County Executive Byrne. We were just going to go with something to get us by and get us just through what we needed to do, and he was behind us to make this really a big project and make it something that's much better, something that's going to take us into the future and last for years to come. So with that, I'll turn it back over to County Executive Byrne. Thank you again for all your help.
A couple other points I just want to circle back on. The Commissioner highlighted. I kind of equate this to you have like that 20-year or 15-year-old car, and you could keep nickel and diming and putting more money into that car, and we could do $50,000 here and fix the Byrne building, $50,000 there. We want to do that every single year, or we can get a new car, and that's what we're doing. The financing I mentioned, $1 million that we've identified through county designated ARPA, $200,000 that we believe we can recover through the Crest grant from Senator Harcum, $50,000 that the Bureau was planning on using to fix the Byrne building temporarily, which obviously will be the purpose for this new facility, and other local assistance. I would also say that Congressman Lawler put this on one of his priority projects that he tried to advance through committee. While it didn't get through in the House, coincidentally, it was we were very pleased to see that it somehow made it onto Senator Gillibrand's list. So hopefully we can even get additional funding through the United States Senate, and it is the county's intention, because as I said before, it's a shining example of shared service, that we can potentially recover other dollars and costs from the state, highlighting this as a shared service opportunity where we can recover additional grants. With that, we call this very commonly the Fire Training Center, but emergency services uses it all the time, including our partners in law enforcement. And with that, I want to make sure I recognize and introduce our Chief Law Enforcement Officer, our Putnam County Sheriff, Sheriff Kevin McConville.
Thank you, County Exec. We are excited about this project, and we eagerly anticipate the county legislature moving forward with this. We want to thank Senator Harcum for his investment in this project. This will expand the training capabilities of our first responders and thereby increasing their ability to be safe at scenes. We intend to perform training on a number of different scenarios with the fire services, EMS services, and law enforcement, so that at the scene of an incident, we operate smoothly and cohesively. So thank you all for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. I'll give you this one. Thanks. I'm going a little out of order here. The Commissioner talked about the importance of the Fire Advisory Board and the emergency services community. I I know there's members of the subcommittee that was recognized early that are here from Emergency Services. The president of the Fire Advisory Board, Justin Lewis, is here, and I want to recognize him as well. Do you want to share a few words?
Thank you, County Executive Kevin Byrne. Our role with the Fire and EMS Advisory Board is to work side by side with the Bureau, the Commissioner, and the Deputy Commissioner regarding training, give recommendations. One of the things we did do was create a subcommittee in the Fire Advisory Board to work with our training center tech, Instructor Drew Kanash, who's also here today. I'd just like to recognize him. To work and see what the needs are. And as we've moved on, obviously, as County Executive Kevin Byrne has said, the Byrne building has been in and out of service over the years. And as we move forward, this committee has taken on this ability and this project to make it come to fruition. They've done a lot of hard work. They've looked at different companies, different avenues, different ways to go about it, whether to repair, replace, the list goes on. But they worked tirelessly on it. They did report back to the advisory board, which was a great thing. We would like to acknowledge a couple of members of the committee that are here today. Assistant Chief Sky Efren, who is the chair of that committee, Chief Joe Pignatelli of Patterson. They're here with us today. I'd also like to acknowledge the instructors that are here. Chief Andrew Roberto of Maybach Fire Department, also on the instructor staff. Myself as an instructor and instructor Kanash. We all see this as something that's needed to move our emergency services into the next millennium, if you will. I hope the legislature will see it in their kind hearts to move the project forward and hopefully make life easier for everybody. With that, thank you very much. Turn it back over to County Executive.
Thank you, Justin. With that, I mentioned the $200,000 that were able to be secured by the state from State Senator Peter Harkin. And he's been a very big advocate for emergency services here, particularly the fire service. And I want to make sure I recognize him and invite him to say a few words. Senator?
This one. Thank you, County Executive. Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank the County Executive for prioritizing this project and want to thank colleagues from the legislature, other colleagues from government, the sheriff, and everybody who's here today. Certainly all of our first responders we want to give a big thank you to. You know, those of us who are elected officials, our number one priority is public safety. Number one. I'm pleased that I've been able to steer over $2 million to our first responders thus far. And so when the county executive and I spoke about how we might be able to use this money, and he suggested this project, I was all in. And has been said many times, one, this is about protecting the public, but it's also about protecting our first responders who protect the public. The better trained they are, the safer they will be on scenes. We don't want any more tragedies. And the other thing is about locale and proximity. So rather than spending an hour each way traveling to Valhalla, that's an hour folks have either with their families, working, or in their local fire departments. They're not away from the communities in which they serve. So this is, I think, a very important project. I want to applaud the county executive once again, the legislature, the advisory board, everybody involved in this, and happy to supply $200,000 for the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I know Legislator Adenizio will be here if she could. This is in her district, but unfortunately she had another commitment that took her away. But she's been very outspoken about the need for more support for emergency services. Chairman Yonke also would be here if he could, but our Deputy Chair, Amy Sage, on behalf of the county legislature, is here. I'll invite her to say a few words as well. Legislator Sage.
I look forward to discussing this in the Protective Services Committee. Our first priority here in Putnam County is always our first responders and the public. And I look forward to discussing this at the committee. And I thank everyone for their support and their funding. And hopefully we can get the public here. And I would love to see all the first responders out to make their comments at the committee as well. And thank you so much, County Executive, for your commitment to the health and safety of our residents here in Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator. there's always the legislative process has to go through a committee first, right? It doesn't just go to the full. And the legislator that has been chairing the Protective Services Committee for a number of years now and serving as the liaison with the Fire Advisory Board is familiar with the need for this project. Our legislator from Patterson, Ginny Nasserino, Planning and Safety News.
Good morning. I would like to thank County Executive Kevin Byrne for spearheading this endeavor and for finding ways to fund this project along with Senator Harkin's grant that he is providing too. This is a wonderful endeavor for the people of Putnam County. It is an investment in the safety of our first responders and the public at large, and it will be a great convenience to our hardworking first responders who work all day and then dedicate their time and expertise to the safety and welfare of our residents. So we look forward, as the chair of the Protective Services Committee, I look forward to having the presentation at our August 17th meeting, and I have no doubt that my colleagues on the legislature will be in full support to pass this through in September. Thank you.
With that, I'll be happy to open up to other questions, if there's any questions. Press, anyone else here? We got a whole row of emergency services over there to our left. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, let's go get it done. Thank you, everybody.
Actually, I have one question.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, when will the construction start, do you think?
Well, I'll always preface it, it's pending legislative approval, right? But assuming that goes through, there's the August 17th the committee meeting, a September meeting, where we were hoping that we could do demolition, save some money by doing a lot of it in-house with our Department of Public Works. And the model, and Commissioner Limpy can chime in on this too, that's not a rendering of the actual proposal. That's just a similar model that was used elsewhere. Its assembling is different than a traditional construction project. So we're hoping that we can assemble this and get this done where it is completed this time next year. So emergency services can actually utilize this next summer.
Oh, that'll be great.
Which is light speed time for government. Done in a year. I mean, that's like unheard of. So that is what our hope is. Thank you.